Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode, okay, of the Real1S Sports Show. Again, we got my brothers, Lenny here, and Leo, of course, the OG, bringing us some knowledge today, and of course, keeping it real on today's sports show. That's what we like to do here. Of course, we don't debate. May get a little heated, but we don't debate. We just keep it real on this show. All right. So, of course, we got to go over the Super Bowl. Really, we missed a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Due to some technical difficulties, but we're still up and running. Don't worry about that. We're gonna keep giving y'all some great content whenever we can, for sure. The Super Bowl just ended, 31-9, Buccaneers on top. I personally seen it coming. I wouldn't have never betted against Tom Brady myself. He wins his seventh ring, officially ending all GOAT debates. There should never be another discussion brought up again on TV. Not while I'm alive, of course. It has to be a lot done in my eyes for it to be brought up. 21-29, 201 yards, 3 TDs, no picks. If he retired today, it'd be great. But of course, he got more in the tank. He's not retiring, and I love him for it. Big showing from Gronk when Brady most needed it. I love it. Of course, their defense was stellar, stifling defense. I like to say shout out to my brother Young Lee. I'm gonna make sure he see this. He like to say that stifling defense. Mahomes and the Chiefs didn't even score a touchdown. It's tough. I didn't even see that coming. Did you guys see that coming?
No, not at all.
Okay. All right, make sure I'm not tripping.
Never.
You know what I'm saying? I just try to make sure I ain't tripping. So
Nah,
we got a lot to cover today. That was my brief introduction. So I'm gonna go ahead and kick it off. Let my brothers give y'all some real today. All right. So the first question I got for y'all is, for one, did y'all see this happening? Was the Buccaneers you guys' choice for one, coming out the NFC and then winning the championship?
Yeah, I did. I had the Buccaneers. Well, I didn't have them winning it originally. I had the Chiefs winning the championship originally, during the season. But when it got down to playoff time, and then when I saw that they were in the Super Bowl, I did pick the Bucks to win. I mainly picked them because I just thought that with the league, it'll be a better story for them to win it, especially with being the first team hosting their own Super Bowl. Uh, I just was like, how do I go against Brady? If he's there, it was just hard to do that. So, originally Chiefs was my pick to win it. But when it came down, to him, Mahomes lining up across from Brady for it all, I had to go Brady.
That's facts.
yeah, and I gotta, my perspective is when that team first assembled, you had a collection of talent that was coming together, and it started off kind of slow. But one thing about experienced veterans in any game, is as a season goes on, you start to fix all of those mistakes. And with youth comes athleticism, but then there's also inexperience. And not to say that the Kansas City Chiefs aren't primed and prepped for big game moments, because they took down my Niners last year in devastating fashion, and my Niners got off to a great start. So
Niners should have won.
I definitely thought Jimmy G was gonna win it.
Man, so Kansas City Chiefs, it's let's not sleep on them and say that okay, it's due to youth or inexperience that they weren't ready. That wasn't it. But what I'm saying is with the Buccaneers, with that collection of talent, they just showed that the longer that they played together, the better that they got. So I'm kind of with Lynn on that, where in the beginning of the season, you like, okay, KC's like front runner. I'm thinking, early on, them versus Seahawks. But as things started changing, as that season played out, I'm like, man, this is really, they're starting to glue.
Yeah.
And by the time they got there, I had no doubt in what was going to happen. Now, was I surprised in the Buccaneers defense playing like shutout football? Absolutely. Like, I don't think anybody could have predicted that kind of defensive performance. No. But from an offensive standpoint, talking about Tom Brady, that offense was flawless as well. They played that's a perfect game that they played. You know what I'm saying? They really did. They played a perfect game.
No, that was facts. I got a confession. Okay, I did not pick the Buccaneers to win it at the beginning
Of
because I
course
was
not.
like everybody else. Of course, I was riding with the Chiefs because it just looked like it was too easy for them out there, you know. But I ain't gonna lie, like after they lost to the Chiefs, they kind of just started rolling. And I was looking at them like, okay, Antonio Brown, and because I had Antonio Brown in fantasy, my fantasy points started going up a little more. I'm like, okay, Tom Brady and him are actually starting to click a little bit. And then, you know, they, I think even more, we'll get into it later, but that was going to benefit them more next year that they were able to click so quickly without even having to really practice that much or training camps. That's amazing to me, truthfully. Um, where does this championship rank among all of Brady's 7 championships to you guys? Personally, I would have to put it second. I do still have them beating the Legion of Boom and New England as his number one, even though Marshawn should have got the ball. That's a mistake on Pete Carroll's fault, though. I'm not going to blame Tom Brady for that because I believe his game-winning drive was still amazing. Like, I don't know what they weren't doubling Gronkowski for, but for some reason, teams just lose him when you know Tom Brady's going to him. It's just amazing. So he had a great fourth quarter drive, won the game. I mean, they easily could have lost, of course, but they didn't. And just beating that defense, I believe, putting up the numbers he did, that was a better victory than this one. It was kind of easy. I think their defense, you know, really kind of more won this game, but Tom still did what he did. So what do you guys think?
I'll take this one. I'm gonna show my age. 9/11,
Yeah.
2001. I was a freshman in college. And we love conspiracies in sports. We always want to say the refs is being paid, somebody cheating, the cameraman did something funny with the replay. For me, being a freshman in college and 9/11 hitting in the greatest show on turf, for Tom Brady to be who he was at that time, which was a unathletic nobody who pretty much got thrust into this starting job for New England and not having any faith. And when you look at his statistics, I mean, he didn't perform well. I mean, it was a very underwhelming performance. Based on the stats we got pulled up, 16 completions, 145 yards, and 1 touchdown. He didn't ball. But for me, in my era, that was the beginning of a dynasty. And for patriots and patriotism, when we were supposed to be anti-terrorists and, you know, and then the red, white, and blue confetti falling from the sky because we was all Go America, and we even changed our name, our French fries, the Freedom Fries, because we didn't even like France back then. It was us versus everybody, right? I think that was epic. And it was the beginning of an amazing story. Even though his performance was like your boy Trent Dilfer's back with the Ravens when they won the Super Bowl. Like Tom didn't even really do nothing. They could have replaced him with anybody. But I just think that was an epic game. I'm with you on your pick, that Seattle game, but we also know what Seattle did to trick that game off. I'll say that this one, though, he had a perfect performance. 72% completion, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, like damn near like 130 QBR. The defense played lights out, but he literally didn't make no mistakes. Yeah. I mean, and what more can you ask of anybody? So on a personal performance, I think this was his best game. He played effortlessly. What was the most storied game? I'd have to go with that 9/11 year, 2001, where we made America great.
Yeah. And that was the replacing Drew Bledsoe, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was big.
Him was a full-time starter. So
yeah, that was big.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't the one. This is the one.
This one.
I mean, yeah, you could say 2001, but then again, I mean, he didn't really have to do nothing to win that Super Bowl. Really, he had a whole defense full of Hall of Famers. I mean, I could go down the line.
Thanks.
How they ripped off 3 out of the first 4. You know what I'm saying? So. That was, I mean, it was great. You know, he beat St. Louis, who looked unstoppable too at that time. But I don't think it was his best because this is definitely his best run. Not only did he not have no OTAs, no preseason games, he couldn't do nothing. He had to break the rules to even get to running routes with his players over the offseason. So he had no rapport. He's coming into a brand new system. He's 43. He had to go on the road against the number 2 defense in all of football in Washington, which ended up being a lot tougher game than everyone thought. Then he had to go back to the scene of the crime, going back to the Saints after they've been pounding them all year, not even close every game. He comes back, beats them. Then he has to go up into Green Bay in the cold with all the Florida boys. He played in Foxborough. It don't affect Brady, but he got to go up in Green Bay, and Green Bay's just been rolling and beat Aaron Rodgers in his own house. And then you got to go and beat who everyone already is calling the greatest quarterback of all time, talent-wise, and beating Mahomes, who is also the reigning Super Bowl champions. That's the greatest run ever. Everybody that he played to win this Super Bowl is going to be a Hall of Famer. Every quarterback he played is an MVP or was MVP, and he beat the current MVP. So this is definitely his best Super Bowl run, just for the simple fact he had no time to really build no rapport with his teammates. Everything was on the fly. It was game 1, and then you just gonna learn your way through, the 16-game season. He didn't even get a home game until he got to the Super Bowl, in which that still wasn't technically a home game because you got all the Chiefs fans there as well, and they also play worse at home than on the road. The Tampa Bay Bucks have all year, so it was a lot of things that was tough for him. So this is
but that Super Bowl is home though.
I mean, it's home, but they've been playing better on the road. They ain't really showed their home crowd, any reason to be like, oh well, we're at home. We feel more confident. They had a worse home record than their road record, which you usually don't see that anyway. So I mean, I know what the fans, but still. But no, this is by far. He's 43.
Yeah,
he's 43.
Yeah, you ain't lying. That means a lot.
He's 43.
It does actually. That does mean
crazy.
That's cold. It's wild.
Crazy.
Was this Goat Bowl? I'm gonna call it a Goat Bowl because they kept saying it was the battle of the goats, the baby goats, and the big goat. Mm-hmm. Was it a letdown, man?
I would say, I mean, if you're looking at the points, you would definitely say it's a letdown. But I mean, only person who should feel let down is Mahomes. Mahomes should feel let down because he has 2 best offensive weapons in football, and both of them came up very short. From dropping that first down, obviously Hill dropping the touchdown in the end zone, and then Williams dropping the touchdown in the end zone on 2 insane passes that
shouldn't even have made it.
Great.
They shouldn't even have made it.
Is for him to even get that ball to either one of them and to hit them in the face, and they don't catch it. So I mean, you just think about that. I mean, they catch those two passes. The final score.
Different game.
Yeah, the final score might be 31-24. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like Mahomes is the only one that should feel let down. I feel like when the game started going the way it was kind of good just, seeing a defense be that dominant against someone like Mahomes. But I was just more shocked that the players around him, especially his playmakers, really just not being able to make no plays.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this right here. So that's what Antoine Winfield did to Tyreek Hill, right?
Yeah.
Hey.
That's going to be the best taunt in NFL history.
For real.
It's going to be up there right with Terrell.
Yeah, I'm with Lenny on that, man. The supporting cast. So football is the greatest team sport ever. It really is, and that goes from the coach to the damn water boy. I mean, everything has to be working the right way. We've seen teams have to forfeit or lose games or show up late or whatever because they equipment didn't get packed. I mean, it takes so much for a football game to really work in your favor.
Yeah.
And you got this funny shaped ball that can take a bounce and go in the opposite direction at any given damn time, and you could lose. It takes a high sense of urgency to be successful in football because every play matters. And we watched Pro Bowl, Hall of Fame caliber athletes literally drop the ball. And like, man, when you say hit him in the face, I think of that old movie from back in the day, Unnecessary Roughness or something. I think it was Sinbad in it when the ball got stuck in the man's helmet and they was like, don't throw it to Stone Hands. It was like, well, if he don't throw it to y'all, if he don't give it to his game breakers, his playmakers, who does he go to? And so if I can't trust you in those kind of moments, then yeah, we're doomed.
Who can I trust? Who can I trust for sure?
Right. And so with them boys putting the ball on the ground like they did, man, and that offensive line just, I mean, looking very Viking-esque out there. Because there weren't a lot of sacks, but the number of hurries was ridiculous. I think there was only like 3 sacks, but there was like 25 hurries. And it's 29.
And to run for his life, he ran for his life the most ever in history.
It was ridiculous to watch. It looked like pros versus high school players. Like they literally
hurries up against the least hurries in NFL history. It's 29-4.
It was terrible, and so yeah, they definitely they let Pat down. It was supposed to be a battle of like the old GOAT versus the future, but again, it's a team sport, and the team didn't show up on that day. And like you said, Lenny, man, the man made throws that were just impossible. I mean, he looked like A-Rod throwing from shortstop to first base and getting somebody out. And these dudes was getting hit in the hands. Like, come on, man. Turn off the TV. I don't want to see this no more. This ain't
Mahomes and it wasn't even a completed pass.
Man, he dove into that thing.
This dude was parallel to the ground and got it all the way to the end zone spiral and hit the dude in his face. It's ridiculous, bro.
That make that one. I seen a Madden glitch where that happened. Dude laid down and threw the ball.
And you know what's so crazy with the Madden glitch? I'm thinking like that's crazy. And then this fool did it in the game.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, like
so Madden's gonna get even more cheap now, boy. Yeah, aware of that.
These dudes he's unreal, man.
Yeah.
So but the defense though, the defense was stifling for the Buccaneers. As much as, you know, it just was a letdown, how much it was that the defense really just showed up? Like, was the defense truly the MVP? Like, was it Derek White hassled Mahomes all day? JPP hassled him. Shaq Barrett hassled him. It was just, he couldn't even do nothing. Like, my man's was just a chicken with his head cut off out there, just moving, trying not to die. You know, the only time it felt like, you know, that felt like Brett Favre versus New Orleans. Except he wasn't getting killed that much, but he was just running for his life so much.
But they was blatantly cheating us.
But Brett was dying though.
Yeah. Well, you know what? If Brett could get away, maybe Brett would have looked like Mahomes.
Just like
Brett
that.
was like a 50-year-old statue at that point, so he was getting hit.
I mean, we don't bring up that game.
I'm saying just the constant pressure. Like,
oh man,
I mean, Manning went through it. Cam Newton went through it too that year against Denver, but the constant pressure that Mahomes faced, and I just think that it wasn't expected. Like those other defenses, kind of where we expected. You know, Denver had a great D. Peyton Manning had to go against the Legion of Boom, a great D. Tampa Bay's defense was clicking. Their secondary is young. Of course, their front seven is formidable. Their secondary was young. Did they kind of show the formula of how to beat Mahomes? They really just rushed everybody stay in front of me. That's really all they did.
I was gonna say, you know, from a scheme standpoint, it just looked like it was just their day because they didn't do a whole lot of special stuff.
No,
I think that they were ready, they were prepared. I don't think that they took the game lightly. For them, it seemed like they were planning to make a statement because they did not take their foot off the gas. When you went into that third and fourth quarter, that same pressure was being applied. It was almost like they were like, you know what? This is bully ball. Like when you're a kid playing youth football and the coach tell you when your dad used to tell us and they better not score. Yeah, your dad used to tell us that if they score, y'all are coming here on Sunday and rolling the whole field. It was like the coach told them that. Like if that offense scores, y'all gonna run a mile, and then you gonna run me another mile. You know what I'm saying? It was just ridiculous, and you didn't have any statistical like leaders that jumped off the board. When you look at the defensive stat sheet, nobody from the Buccaneers, you was like, damn, that was a crazy game. 20 tackles. It was a complete team effort from the DBs holding the passing game in check, the damn D-line making sure that Buddy didn't even have 3 seconds. The linebackers did a great job of dealing with Tyreek with all his motions and running his little routes in the middle of the field, little Texas routes and pivot outs and all that stuff. They just, man, they did a great job just containing it. And the energy was high. And back to Tom Brady, the energy he was bringing as a 43-year-old man, getting in people's faces, talking his shit, man, they just brought it. They're just all the way around. They just brought it. The cheerleaders was bringing it. Like they was out there just going extra hard with the pom-poms.
No, they was ready. They was ready for sure.
Yeah. I'm going to say, as far as like, did they show the formula? I'm going to say no, only because, I mean, everyone knows how essential a left tackle, a Pro Bowl left tackle is to any quarterback. Yeah. You lose your left tackle and like, you bring in somebody new, and they was actually missing 2 linemen at that.
Right.
So, I feel like
they missed both tackles.
I don't know if it was both tackles, but I know
the right and left tackle, I believe.
Oh yeah, it might have been both of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean those are 2 pillars of the O-line. You know what I'm saying? That's like trying to stop the run with no D tackles or trying to get to the quarterback with no D ends. When you got that, and then you got, Vita Vea's back in the lineup, you got Sue, you got JPP, and you got Barrett. I mean, what are you really gonna do? I mean,
yeah,
you could rush for if you know that who you're going up against is backups. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that played a lot into it, because if you go back to the first game when they were healthy, I mean, they didn't get that type of pressure. They weren't getting that type of pressure even when they was blitzing. So it's like I just feel like it was just a fortunate situation that happened with the Bucks, that they caught them on a unhealthy night, which is at 2 positions that every quarterback needs. They need their right and the left tackle to protect both their sides. So I mean, with them just playing that cover 2 all day, though, I am a little bit shocked that they couldn't figure out some other ways to try to counteract that. But I just think it was just a situation that Buccaneers D-line could have their way with them, because they knew that they were going up against a pretty much makeshift backup O-line, and there's no time to really adjust that. It's the last game of the season. You can't go out there in the AFC Championship and see how it goes and make adjustments there. And adjusting too much in the Super Bowl, I mean, who's out there, that's who got to play. So I just think that was probably the most important thing why they looked so dominant on D.
And I want to add on something real quick before we move on. Just being in coaching for a long time and understanding, trying to implement systems. The one thing I've always struggled with watching NFL, and even in the past 10 years with college, is they usually get to a system and they commit to it, and there's not a whole lot of diversity when it comes to their system and formations. You see like teams that'll run single back or shotgun or whatever it is. They're exclusive to that because they build their personnel around what they want to run. And I think that kind of backfires if you don't have the ability to run multiple offenses, because if you have a system where you don't have any blocking backs and now you lose those linemen, but your roster isn't built to change. So now you don't have a fullback on your roster, or, have that additional blocker that can pick up that leak, because you've built your system in such a way to where you're screwed. And with the NFL having set rosters and you only being able to pull up certain guys on the roster, and you got to put other guys off to bring another man up from the practice squad, it makes it extremely tough. And I've seen teams not only struggle where they lose linemen, but you also see spread teams that are running this horizontal offense struggle in goal line situations because they don't have the personnel to win the short yardage game. So it makes me question how the Chiefs might adjust moving forward to be prepared for the loss of a lineman. What is it that you can do? Can you implement an H-back into your system where you can get, some additional protection? Because it just looked like they didn't have an answer for it, and they didn't have any personnel that they could throw in to say, all right, we got some leaking off the left side, so let's put him here. it was just like, we're going to run our shit, do what we do, and we either going to win or lose with it.
Yeah.
They stuck.
So y'all both kind of, in a way, answer my next question. So I'm going to merge my next question with both of my next questions. Because I kind of wanted to know, were you guys surprised? Because there really wasn't no adjustments. It sounded like, Lenard, you felt like it wasn't really too many adjustments they could make based off of not really having a complete line. And then you feel like, Leo, they might have actually could have done some more stuff to kind of help that line out in that situation if they was more prepared for it. So I would just say, though, one thing I think that they lacked was, I think they still was relying on Mahomes too much, knowing that they had their line out, because compared to the Buccaneers, they only ran the ball 12 times for 74 yards. The Bucs ran the ball 28 times for 150 yards. Both Leonard Fournette and the other boy, Jones, ran for over 10 yards or got over 10 carries apiece. Which helps Brady out a lot. I think it could have helped Mahomes out a lot more. Obviously they didn't. I don't know if they had Le'Veon Bell. It looked like he wasn't out there. Now that I think about it, he must have been hurt. Yeah, he must be hurt. I might have to look into that, because I was wondering where he was at. That would have been very helpful to see him. Was he playing? I don't think he was playing.
I don't think he played last game either.
So that's no. You know what? I think he got banged in the championship game, and then he missed the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah,
He kept getting nicked up. So, but to your point though, do y'all think that they still relied on Mahomes too much, even though your line's out? So why would you throw the ball? They threw the ball 49 times. You know what I mean? I know that's your bread and butter, but you don't have your line to protect you anymore. You don't have your all-pro line. You know what I'm saying? Fisher, I believe the left tackle is an all-pro lineman. Been doing this for a long time. That's who you want to protect Mahomes. And you don't have him out there. Why not make the adjustment? What do you think about that, Leo?
Again, it comes down to system. What have they been working on all year? I think that they are running the offense that we want to see. It's exciting. It's fun. It's sideline to sideline, and it requires a lot of speed. I think that throughout the season, the past 2 seasons, even their offensive line has gotten used to a certain rhythm. And when you go away from that and you try to go into a game management style of play calling where you're trying to control a tempo of a game, if they haven't implemented that in practice, because you know how football is, it's scripted. It's damn near like, like being in a play. You know how many plays you're trying to get. When you're at that level, they're like, man, we're trying to run 65 plays and we want to, 50% of these going to be run. I don't think that they made the adjustments necessary or had the personnel in place to make those kind of changes. And so they had to stick with what they had done up until that point, because it takes so much work, even from a play calling standpoint, from the offense coordinator to the quarterback, to the signals, whatever you're doing for no huddle. I don't think that they were prepared to really change their style of play, man. And it worked against them. And that's why you end up throwing the ball 50 times. Because once you're down, you got to throw, right? And if their offense is used to just move, now you tell them to slow down and run one play every 30 seconds, handing it off. I mean, it's just not who they are. It's not their identity. And again, I don't think they got the personnel to do it. Whereas Brady, that's his whole game is predicated around that play action, back to the defense, one play at a time.
Yeah.
I mean,
in the beginning they tricked us, because like the first 3 games, Carlos Hillard, I think I'm saying his name wrong, the boy from LSU, he ran like over 100 yards like the first 3 games. So I thought they would be able to at least try to do something. I don't know though. What you think, Lynn?
Yeah, I just feel like, especially with Le'Veon Bell not being out there, that's their blocking back. That's the dude that, if someone does leak through the line, he's the one that has the body to chip. Clyde Edwards-Helaire he's not really built for that. And Darrell Williams ain't either. These are like, small kind of gadgety type backs. They're not built for that. And then even if you keep Kelsey in there to block, I mean, he's not the greatest blocking tight end, but if he's in there, blocking or having to always chip, then that means he's not out on the route. So with the personnel, like you said, that was on the field, it kind of hindered their whole game plan. I mean, they're not a run first team anyway. A lot of the times when you do see the Chiefs running the ball, it usually is, they'll run the ball, traditionally here and there, but then, they'll throw in a little gadget play to Hardman or Hill on a end around or something like that. I do think that they should have threw that in there at some point just to kind of, throw Tampa Bay off. They didn't do any of that. I feel like Andy Reid.
I didn't see no screens. I see like one jet sweep.
I just think that Andy Reid kind of panicked once he saw just how ferocious the Tampa Bay front four was getting, and he just was like, "Well, I'm gonna live and die by the gun, and just let's just go Mahomes all out." And obviously that's how they play usually, but you got to throw in the run here and there, especially if you play in cover two, just to try to get some of them to lay off the receivers. You got to still keep them
3-4 yards.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta try to keep them honest. At the same time, they wasn't trying to keep them honest at all. They just was like, well, you know what? We have the best player on the field, and that's just what he went with. He wasn't wrong. I mean, a lot of people, they left a lot of plays on the field. A lot of things could have been different if they would have caught the ball. Then we'd probably be having a different discussion. Like, wow, Mahomes threw them into a championship. It is what it is. But I just think that, they don't have the guys that could really pound the ball. That's why they did pick up a guy like Le'Veon Bell to grind out those yards. So I just feel like, they kind of got what came to them, with the people that were on the field. So, all healthy, I think that the outcome probably would have been different, but you got to play with who's out there on Sunday, and that's just what it is.
Yeah, no, that's facts though. So, of course, they were already saying and crowning Mahomes as the GOAT. I don't really think it's a question as far as his talent anymore. Obviously, he's the best throwing quarterback we've seen. That's not really a question. As far as the GOAT, though, I believe it was way too early to start saying something like that. Because it's just too early. One championship, one MVP, and all. It's just one. But can he catch up to Tom? Like, what does he have to do? Can he theoretically catch up to Tom? Like, if Tom doesn't win any more championships, can Mahomes go 7-3?
No, he would never catch him. Never. He would never catch him.
Why not?
He would never catch him. I'll tell you why. He won't catch him because there's too many young, talented quarterbacks in the league right now that play exactly the same way Mahomes do, that could run around, that could scramble, that could throw, and just make tremendous plays. You still got Watson, who's still only 25. You got gunslinging Herbert with a tremendous LA offense. Once they defense get intact, that's going to be trouble. You still got Russell Wilson, who's only 32 or whatever. I mean, you got a lot, and Josh Allen in his same division. You still got Lamar if he gets some weapons. It's going to be a lot of teams that's right there with him, and a lot of these teams are going to have a better defense than the Chiefs because a lot of these teams that I mentioned do have better defense. They just can't outgun them. You know what I'm saying? So you got to think, depending on where Watson goes, I don't know, we'll see. But let's just say hypothetically, if you go to the Dolphins, the Dolphins was a 10-6 team that missed the playoffs this year with flip-flopping quarterbacks every week. That's a top 10 defense. You put Watson on that team, they'll probably lose their picks if they got to trade for him, obviously. But you get a free agent like Allen Robinson to come there at receiver, and you plug in another guy. They're right there too. So, and these are all people that's bunched up in his same age group. That's why I feel like this Super Bowl was so big for him to win, because it would have gave him a little bit of chance to, get some breathing room. Like, hey, I got 2 under my belt. If I don't get there next year, this year, that year, he has another shot. It also did help him because it might turn him up. You know what I'm saying? But for Brady to even get 7, like that's just ridiculous. Like that doesn't even that should have never even happened. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just ridiculous.
More than any franchise, like that's still crazy to say.
It's like, I mean, if you really just hear it coming out your mouth, it don't even sound like something like in football. Somebody got 7 Super Bowls. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's a team. It's such a team sport. Like, you never see that. But I mean, he's very young, but so is all his other competition. Yeah. So I just really can't see him, especially getting a 7. I feel like his ceiling to me, at best, is 4. And even 4 is great. He could go down as number 2. He could tie Montana or something like that. But the GOAT is out of there. It's over with.
But if he dynasties it, just to piggyback real quick before I let Leo go, in that same era, Tom Brady's era, he had Peyton Manning, he had the Drew Breeses, he had Ben Roethlisberger. He still had a lot of great that actually got victories. They did get victories, but Tom Brady was still able to pull off 7 Super Bowls.
But Tom Brady also in that era was playing with 6 Hall of Famers on his defense.
Yeah.
There's no Hall of Famers on Kansas City's D. You know, Matthew was probably the only one that's maybe on his way. But when you playing with Willie McGinnis, Vince Warford, Junior Seau, Santa Samuel, Ty Law, these is all on one defense. This is why I used to hate the argument when people used to try to compare Brady to Manning, which I thought Manning was better than him a lot of his career, in my opinion. I just felt like Brady just was on insane teams with, crazy defenses, and defense wins championships. You know what I'm saying? So Mahomes could definitely, come back, but you're gonna need to stop somebody too.
Yeah.
Just like Leo was saying, they shouldn't have beat San Francisco last year. San Francisco beat themselves. They stopped running the ball. If San Francisco keeps running the ball, that game is over easily. He struggled last year in the Super Bowl.
Yep. Like Kyle Shanahan. That's Kyle Shanahan for you. He did it in Atlanta.
He's the ring giver. Rings, like.
All right, man. Let me touch on a few things. Everything he said is spot on, by the way. But one thing I want to take a look at is length of career. I got it pulled up here. How many quarterbacks actually play 20 years? I'm looking at the all-time leaders right now. I got about 25 quarterbacks on my screen. Not many quarterbacks go 20 years. Drew Brees he's getting ready to hit his 20th season, 2001 to 2021.
He's done, ain't he?
You got Brett Favre.
Yeah, Brett Favre was
you got Brady.
One. I think Brett Favre was one shy at 19. Like, so there's some guys that are close, and Brady has no signs of slowing down. So what we would have to do is pretty much say that Mahomes is going to last 20 seasons.
20 years.
And not only physically hold up, but just want to do it. I mean, football is a hard game. The seasons are long. It's painful. Who wants to play football for 20 seasons? Most people be giving up football after high school. They be in college like, you know what? I ain't really about this life. I'm straight.
And he already sitting on 500 mil.
So that's get ready to my next point about why he might not be the GOAT. So here's one thing that Tom Brady has always done: taking pay cuts.
Yeah.
When is Tom Brady ever the highest paid guy? Every single year, there's always a couple people getting a big payday over Tom Brady. I remember when Joe Flacco got all that money. Tom Brady is always like number 3, number 4 on the list. Mahomes just came out and getting $50 million a year. What does that do to the salary cap? What does that do to the ability to keep players? Because the one thing we know about football is these rosters is always changing. Yeah. I tell people, I'm not a fan of teams. I'm a fan of good players, because the good players are never going to be on the same team for very long in the NFL. That's how it works. That's what makes the game great, is because you're going to have teams that are going to be up, teams that are going to be down, and they're going to rotate. For some damn reason, Tom Brady and with Bill Belichick were able to manage putting together ragtag teams with a bunch of guys you didn't know and still win. Yeah. I don't know if Mahomes has positioned the Kansas City Chiefs with that contract to do that. Lenny just pointed out, what defensive stars do they have? Who can they afford to bring in? Can they bring in any, you know, franchise tag defensive players to bolster the defense? Can they bring in some top linemen? Because offensive linemen's careers don't really last long. You know, to make it 10 years as an all-pro lineman is tough because they get beat up.
Yeah.
So I think he does more harm than good with that big, huge paycheck. And I could easily see in the next 2 to 3 years, Kansas City not being the team and him being in a situation where he's struggling or trying to renegotiate terms to put some pieces around him. I'm not saying he's selfish. Get your bag, young man. And I want everybody to get paid. Like when people was mad at Kirk Cousins, nah, pay that man. Pay everybody. But the way the NFL is set up, I don't know if he's able to sustain getting big bags like that. Now, arm talent is unreal, you know, but he might potentially fall into a category of, say, a Aaron Rodgers, where you're like, this guy has this superior arm talent that we haven't seen anymore. He has a unique athleticism to him that is unmatched. But that doesn't necessarily make you the greatest in the game of football, because ultimately, as a team sport, it's about winning. And I don't know if he'll be able to sustain and win. I mean, again, like Lenny said, man, 7 Super Bowls. I don't know if Barry Sanders ever went to the playoffs. You know what I mean? There's greats who don't even go to the playoffs, let alone a Super Bowl. There's organizations that ain't never been to a Super Bowl. There's organizations that barely. I don't know if the Lions have won a division in my lifetime.
I don't know if organizations have even been to 10 Super Bowls.
Dude, you know what I'm saying? So what he's accomplished, I guess we got 18.
Untouchable. It's probably the most untouchable, in my opinion, record in sports. Like, I don't think no one's ever gonna get close to him ever. I don't think no one gets 5. I don't think there's going to be another quarterback to get 5 Super Bowls on the real.
They would have to restructure the way they pay players and do salary caps and stuff.
You got to think, because before Brady, I mean, the most was 4.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the GOAT when he got 5. And he was even more of a GOAT when he got 6. Now he just got like
7.
super GOAT. He Baphomet.
That man is Pluto right now.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Has that man passed gold level at this point? Like, what is it? Like, I heard y'all. Like, I feel like
for the sport of football, definitely.
Yeah, he's passed gold level.
That's insane, dude. That is insane. You got to think about this too. He's playing quarterback. Like, he's only been injured 1 season. Even for him to just go out of these 20 years, he missed time once.
Yeah. I think it's time for him to be the logo.
Yeah, that's really insane. And like I said,
the NFL should do that.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely got helped out early in his career playing with those amazing defenses, and but what he did this year, I don't think that no one, obviously Peyton Manning was probably the last one that had the chance to do that. Obviously, he didn't win a Super Bowl that first year, the Broncos, but he's probably the only other person to do what Brady did, coming to a new team and then going pretty much right into a Super Bowl. But this was just so much more tougher because he had nothing else to rely on except him showing up week 1 and just playing with those guys.
Yeah.
So that right there, and then you go and beat Mahomes, it's untouchable. That's why they said, if Brady was to beat Mahomes, he slammed the door on dude. Like, Mahomes, not taking nothing away, he's going to be great. But he's not, no.
I'm not slamming the door on that man yet.
I'm slamming it.
I ain't slamming it.
Say Mahomes wins those 3 or 4 Super Bowls like Lenny is saying, then you put him in the conversation with superior arm talents that could get it done, like a Brett Favre, like a Aaron Rodgers, like when Dan Marino didn't get Super Bowls. But I'm thinking like talent, right? Like that arm talent that we're seeing, that live arm. Whereas, Brady has never been known for having a superior arm. I just think he ends up falling in that category of guys who is super talented, finishes his career with 3-4 Super Bowls, first ballot Hall of Fame. But I don't know, man. Tom Brady that's just a rare story, man. Just a guy who nobody believed in. He just wins.
That man's Super Saiyan. Super Saiyan GOAT level, I swear.
Yeah,
The
it's
only
gonna,
other person I can really think of that's like that is Bill Russell, and people don't like to talk about that.
Right.
But yeah, that's the only other person I can think of that was just so dominant in their game.
Mm-hmm.
this is gonna be a real exciting year, time for all the all all the quarterbacks. For the next 10 years, there's so much elite talent, out there. I feel like it's even more elite talent than what Brady had to, really go through. So I just feel like there's going to be a lot. I don't feel like it's going to get any easier on Mahomes and his journey to become, the GOAT. But I think he definitely, can surpass guys like, Aaron Rodgers. I think he already, to me, passed him, unless Aaron Rodgers wins another one, which I don't think he will. I feel like, for him to do it, he already did that quickly. I feel like he already kind of bumped Aaron Rodgers out the way. But he could battle for number two. Maybe a Montana spot, or some people, like I said,
To be honest, I'm starting to think that because of Andy Reid being so old, it might be tight on him building a dynasty. Because Andy Reid might be out of there in the next couple of years. I don't think he's going to get that luxury like being groomed by Bill Belichick. Even though you might not like Bill Belichick, but he still groomed you into the champion you are and taught you to win at the highest level for 20 years or 19 years before you got to bring that to Tampa Bay and then show them how to win at a high level. So I don't really know if he'll be able to create this dynasty like that because of Andy Reid. I think they have to if they really seriously. I mean, they already invested in Mahomes. I think if you're going with that, you got to think about getting a younger coach now. That's just me though. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
McVay or something like that.
it's gonna be tough sledding.
And what kind of leader will Mahomes be over time as well? Because we really don't know his personality. Like we see, the guy on TV, but we know a lot about Brady, how he interacts with his players, how people respect him, his command of the locker room, his work ethic. As age hits and talent starts to fade, like we found Michael Vick, right? Not saying that he's going to be a Michael Vick, but how will he handle growing into an older man who can't necessarily use all the tools that he has right now today? How will he up here? So it'll be interesting to see, man. I look forward to watching his career though, for sure.
And will early season success hinder him? I wonder. What do you think, Lenny? Like, will early season, like having these MVPs and having 50 touchdowns already in your second and third year as a football player, like, will that hinder him or make him feel like there's not much more I can do?
Well, they try to LaMelo Ball my mans. You know what I'm saying? They already crowned him and all this stuff. Before he really got a chance to actually become a GOAT. Or something like that. I feel like they put too much pressure on Mahomes just because what he did was just so shocking. Like you never really see a phenom in football. Like, yeah, you see it at, wide receiver or something like that, just, crazy talent at that. But like a quarterback, just really come in the league and be as dominant as Mahomes has been. I think it was just so shocking that people just wanted to put that title on him. And, they kind of just ran with it. I mean, you got to think his first full 3 starting seasons, you got AFC Championship, Super Bowl appearance. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it's like who came in the league and did that? Like nobody really.
Just Kaepernick.
Yeah, like something like Kaepernick, but Kaepernick on a talent level, obviously, we talking about
not the same.
two different things. So I feel like with that, that's going to be how he deals with it. I think he's dealing with it, fine. Even though he lost the game, he was the main reason why anybody betting on the Chiefs and anybody betting on the Bucks was still sitting at home. Like it can happen because you just believe in him that much. So I think he'll be good, moving forward.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get ready to wrap it up here. I appreciate y'all today. I just got one more question. going into next year, of course, I believe they'll have a training camp, so that I think will make the Buccaneers even more deadlier. To me, I just feel like Tom can at least win the next two, maybe even two in a row. Especially they got a young talent, so they can get a lot of those young people on rookie contracts and things like that. They not really like top players. They're just gonna be like some Super Bowl champions, so that they're gonna have that going for them. They're not gonna have to get them millions and millions. But the Buccaneers, what do y'all tell? The Buccaneers, the rightful favorite going into next year, or should we still consider Mahomes and the Chiefs thinking about how they were hurt?
We talked about this in the beginning. You can't bet against Tom. He shows no sign of age. I mean, the guy even still looks good.
Yeah.
He shows no sign of age. I question, how Gronk will hold up. Will they look to replace him? Will he continue to play? Because playing tight end is definitely.
I thought that man was over with. I thought he was on his last leg.
But I mean, sitting out a little while, hey, he's well rested. So I think that falls on the front office more so than the current roster that they have. I think that the current roster is built to be very successful next year. I think they got a lot of young guys sitting there kind of in the wings, ready to go. We've seen like our own guy, Tyler Johnson, he's ready to step up. Antoine Winfield, he's showing us that he could be a 10-year pro. So I definitely think that they've positioned themselves to be front runners for the next couple of seasons. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the business side of things. Who can you keep? Who's going to retire? And an ego, man, because when you know how that free agency hit, well, I did this and he did that. And so if he had this many catches, then I'm supposed to get that much money. Like a lot of that stuff comes into play, man. So at the end of the day, it's going to come down to that front office. But if it's just player personnel and it's Brady and his boys out there and that defense continue to do what they do and that defensive line is pretty damn star-studded, they're going to be a problem for the next couple of seasons before we start to see majority of that roster age out.
Okay.
I think the Chiefs still got to be the favorite going into the next season. Reason being, Tampa Bay only got 30 people under contract going in the next season out of their 53-man roster. 5 of those people are key factors who won them the Super Bowl. Barrett's not under contract next year. Davis not under contract next year. Antonio Brown's not under contract. Fournette's not under contract. Gronk's not under contract. These are all the people who either score or significantly alter the game on defense, and none of them are under contract. Oh, and not to mention, Chris Godwin isn't under contract either. So they got a lot of star players that are going to be free agents, which, I think Chris Godwin is for sure gone, which, it is what it is. You could have, obviously re-sign Antonio Brown, but is Antonio Brown going to want more years than just a 1-year salary? Then you got Barrett, who's having a breakout, who had a breakout, year breakout playoffs. He's going to want big money too. Davis going to want big money too. Like, yeah, you could take a pay cut, but these guys are going to want to get paid. Now, I did think that it was interesting that Evans did come out and say that he would take a pay cut to keep the team together. I think that shows just how much he really wants to keep the team together and win. There's a lot of key players that, might want to get their own, shine next year. And I don't think they're going to be able to pay everybody. So I think at least bare minimum, the defense is going to look a lot different. Oh, and Sue ain't even under contract. So, I mean, there's a lot of players that, that's going to want to get paid. They're not going to be able to pay everybody. So they're going to really need some people to step up. That's why I can't really say that they're the favorite, just because the Chiefs team is pretty much intact going into next season outside of like Sammy Watkins and, a couple other small receivers like Robinson and stuff. So I would still take the Chiefs as the favorite, but, it's going to be tough for Tampa Bay, next year too. I think there's going to be a lot of NFC teams that are going to be even better. You know, San Fran's going to be reloaded. They're going to be back healthy next year. They may have Watson under center. You know, who knows? You know, you got the Rams with Stafford coming in now again with the number one defense in the league with those weapons on offense, and he could really sling it. It's going to be a lot tougher, and I feel like yeah, I can't say the Bucks for sure right now.
That's huge. Antonio Brown want more money? Is he AB again, or is he still humble?
Yeah, man, he always been AB. It's just that he also is the AB with the ego.
No, I'm just saying, is he gonna want his money now? Because if it comes out of that, are you keeping Antonio Brown or Godwin?
Heck yeah, I want my money. I'm not signing.
Who you keeping?
The fool done lost like 36 mil. He not signing another 1 year contract. He's not doing that. I'm keeping AB. I'm keeping AB up. Godwin. Definitely, he got way better hands.
Yeah, facts.
He's a better runner. He got better hands than Godwin. Godwin had his breakout season last year, but he had a lot of drops this year. A lot of key drops.
Let Godwin go now.
Yeah, they're gonna let him go. He's walking. He's gone.
He's got Tyler Johnson and Scotty Miller.
You got Tyler Johnson and Scotty Miller. You could get AB. I think that he definitely wants to resign because he doesn't want to leave Tom Brady, obviously. You got Mike Evans. You got OJ Howard that'll be healthy next year. I mean, they still got plenty of weapons to throw it to. You know, obviously they gotta, probably, get another backup running back, but it's just that defense. That's a lot of dudes on D that you're gonna be missing, like your star players. Like good thing they got the Super Bowl when they did.
Right. That's what I was saying. Out there front office.
They could just be like, whatever. I got
to get that money.
Yeah, they could be like, I got my ring. It's whatever. So the Chiefs is intact. So I feel like they gotta be the favorite, and I don't see nothing going on in the AFC too much that's making me think that there's a team that's gonna knock them off because they went through them this year. Those teams are going to be pretty much the same too. The NFC is going to look a lot different when you got teams like San Fran, which I thought was going to beat, which I think San Fran would have beat any team this year again. I think it would have been a repeat, in my opinion. Fully healthy. Fully healthy. And like I said, you got Stafford. It's going to be a lot tougher to get through the NFC next year. It's going to be a lot of good teams.
Facts. Well, here we have it. Another Real One episode, man. My brothers, Real Ones themselves came here today, provided you guys with some great content. I loved it today. Like I said, we don't really debate too much on this show. We just like to keep it real, How'd you guys feel about today, man? Good show?
Yeah, it was excellent. I do want to say one thing, though, because, it's been a while since we got together. Roll Tide, not even a Bama fan, but I just got to rub that in, you know what I'm saying? Buckeyes got to get it together. And maybe we talk about the upcoming draft next time, you know what I'm saying? Maybe we get around combine time and talk about this draft.
And Alabama, they just got lucky.
Tom Brady got lucky then, damn it.
Alabama got lucky.
If Alabama's lucky, so is Tom, because they got about the same amount of rings.
They caught my boy
the last 20 years
with broken ribs. He lost his starting running back first play of the game. So
he got taken out the game.
He couldn't even run the ball, man. It was an uphill battle for them boys.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, it was sad. The weather was gloomy outside. It was snow.
Hey, man,
it was sad.
I don't care who playing Alabama. I'm going against them.
Don't do that to yourself.
I do it.
Nick Saban the GOAT.
I don't like Bama.
Can't bet against if you can't bet against Brady. You can't bet against Nick Saban.
I didn't bet.
Pluto.
I just rooted against him. I didn't bet. I ain't good enough to bet against him. I just ain't rooting for him.
I feel it.
Well, they gonna come back and do it again next year.
When you constantly getting the number one recruiting class, what can you do?
They got a financial system over there. Everybody else got to catch up.
For real.
I don't even know what people want to do in Alabama. Like, it ain't even nothing to do.
They riding cars. They got money over there, man. They winning championships. They got the NCAA looking the other way over there.
And they buying championships.
Yeah, they got the NCAA looking the way. They're a powerhouse.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Syracuse was doing for a while. Jim Boeheim messed up. They was like, "Oh, see, you done messed up. Now we're going to come get some of the wins back, take some of that stuff back you doing because you want to mess up."
I just need my Longhorns to get back on track. I need them to get back to that powerhouse form, man. That's when they start hating Alabama. Yeah, I'm a Longhorns fan.
Who are the Longhorns? What college is that?
That's Texas. Come on now, stop playing.
They signed your boy. Who they signed? As a coach?
They got
Where's he from?
Steve Sarkisian.
Sarkisian, yeah.
Man, the last time Texas was good, I think they had Jamal Charles at running back, man.
They was great when they had Jamal
It
Charles.
was great.
Don't forget. Y'all was like in 6th grade.
Don't forget.
Grown and parents and stuff.
I always remember that.
When Alabama played Texas in that national championship, y'all almost let a true freshman who never played almost beat y'all. If Colt McCoy plays that game, Texas is still the powerhouse today.
From there, it's been over for Texas. Ever since Colt McCoy got hurt in that game, Texas
has
been able to
if Texas
got
wins
their
that
own
game,
TV network. Ever since they got their own TV station, they've been trash.
It's sad because they really are a football school. They really do need to get that together, though.
They do.
We're going to say that for another time. We definitely got to get football. That's a lot to talk about because we're going to have to get some of this college basketball in. I know y'all don't talk basketball that much, so but we're going to have to get some college football in. I know Leo said you wanted to talk about that draft for sure. And this draft is crazy. Your boy Urban Meyer got the job, so we ain't gonna get too much speculation. I know. Look at his face.
Yeah.
He thinks Justin Fields.
Ohio State.
He's not going. They don't even know if he's going number 2. But we'll talk about that another time. All right. Appreciate y'all tuning in. As always, we post it on my Facebook and also on YouTube. I'm gonna do a little bit more marketing there, getting some more episodes out at least every month, every 2 weeks or something. We got to do something more. Just figuring it out. So y'all don't worry about my crying though. We make lemonade out of lemons. So let me stop the recording.